Look at you, just pop, 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 pop.
Welcome everyone to Just Passing Through IHS. I appreciate y'all coming on this cold, wintry Wednesday evening. Thank you for watching via our media sites, Just Passing Through. Just Passing Through YouTube and Just Passing Through IHS on Facebook and JesusIsComingRumble.com. So like it, share it, become a subscriber, tell people about it. We need more people to come and be a part of this, part of what God's going to have. Right? So it is Wednesday. It is 3 Wednesdays before Christmas. So we're going to open up in prayer, start out with a couple songs of worship, and then get into the message, and then we'll close in worship as well. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
So Cindy, you want to open us up in prayer?
Father, we just thank you for this evening. And even though it's cold and windy out, that we can be warm here. We thank you for your Holy Spirit that is present, that we know it was you who lead us into all truth.
Yes.
So just be glorified in Jesus' name.
Amen.
So let's worship however you want.
Worship Christ, the newborn King.
Come and worship Christ, the newborn King. It is the Christmas season,
Yeah.
one that can be filled with excitement, joy, suspense, even anticipation, especially among the young.
Mm-hmm.
For some who have experienced heartache and pain throughout the year, or even during this time of peace on earth and goodwill towards man, it can be a time of profound disappointment, discouragement, anger even, at the grief and pain of loss that we all will go through this life. For me personally, it's a time of reflection, a time of observation. At times, it's a mixed bag of emotions for me. I struggle with the whole concept of what this time of year has and is becoming. And how do we as believers in Jesus need to or should behave? And what should our attitude be during this time of the coming of the gift? James says, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes down from the Father of light, with whom there is no variation, no shadow of turning. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we might be the first fruits of his creatures. The gift. I look at our society and our world, and what I see it doing is gravitating towards and seeking after the giving of or receiving of the perfect gift. To those who are to receive something from the giver as a token of our love or devotion or tradition, or from the giver our desire to do good to someone or to make somebody happy, we seek to give or receive the perfect gift. And in this struggle, I see many people, maybe it isn't you or I, but I dare say most, who are looking for that perfectly wrapped and prettiest gift. That's the thing that turns them on. The prettiest gifts. To either give it away or to receive such gifts. We see people struggling to wrap gifts and making it absolutely perfect and as pretty as possible to impress people, to make people want to desire it. And then we have those looking at these perfect, beautiful wrapped gifts. Not that we shouldn't, I'm not saying that. And wondering what's inside of it and desiring that one, being enticed by it. For years, Cindy and I would gather with her side of the family and we'd play this game called Bunko. Let me explain for those who don't know what this was. Those who were going to come to the gathering, usually on Christmas Eve, they would buy some silly little gifts or maybe not so little gifts. Some of us wouldn't even seek to buy them. We would just find something we won't or didn't use anymore, and we just wrap it up, making it look as pretty as we could and enticing to the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I was always personally hesitant to play because somewhere in my life I had lost a sense of fun that one should have when playing any game.
Mm-hmm.
But once it started, I really got into it. The game kind of went like this. All the wrapped gifts would be put into the middle of the room, and all the participants would gather around in a circle. Then a pair of dice would be put into a pan, and if there was enough people, there would be 2 pairs of dice, and they would go in the opposite direction around the circle, each shaking the dice. Each individual would get a chance to roll the dice into the pan, and if you got doubles, you would pick a gift up from the pile. And that would go on until there were no more gifts left in the middle or to pick from. And then the fun started. A timer would be started, usually about 10 or 15 minutes, although there was always some discussion on just how long we should have this go on. The dice would be passed along to each person in turn, and they would shake it. And if you got doubles, you could go and steal a gift from someone else. And then that gift would become part of your possession until or unless someone else rolled doubles and they wanted the gift that you had. Then you would have to give it to them. That's to steal. So you understand the concept.
Mm-hmm.
This would go on back and forth for the next 10 or 15 minutes, and the game would end. And then you could open up the gifts that you had won. It was really a lot of fun, especially when you got into it. But what I observed, even as I participated in it, was that it was usually 3, 2, maybe 4 or 5 gifts that were fought over the most, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that were constantly exchanging hands as the participant rolled doubles. What I also observed is that it was usually the gifts that were the biggest or the most unusual looking and the prettiest wrapped gifts that were sought after the most.
But they weighed a lot.
I have to admit, I did get into it just a bit, and it was quite fun. I also noticed that it was the smallest, the least conspicuous, or the ugliest wrapped gifts that got the least attention, and were usually the last ones to be picked in that first round of the game. And I tell you this, because this is what I see has happened to the Christmas season over the last, the last 200 years or so, as our society has gotten more and more affluent. Most people look at the wrapping of the gift to determine if it's desirable or not. Is it pretty? Is it wrapped beautiful? Does it look good? Is it big? Is it small? Is it medium? Is there a lot of them? And then we determine the value of the gift by the outward appearance before we opened it. And for most of us, if we're honest, it can be a bit disappointing when the gift is revealed to what it wasn't, to not what we wanted or what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Not always.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had many wonderful gifts given to me, but for many people, as well as myself, there were times that that pretty, big, pretty wrapped gift was a bit of a letdown. When our expectations are perhaps better, our anticipation of what the gift is not, and it didn't meet our expectations. And then I observed some people actually got mad at the giver of the gift or even the one who purchased it. Now, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here during Christmas season. We should give gifts. We should do the best we can. I'm all for that. Right? I just think that we need, as Christians, as believers, to focus on what's inside the gift and the gift giver and the heart behind whatever's given to us, instead of the actual gift itself. Isaiah 53. Who has believed a report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He's despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him, and he was despised, and we did not esteem him. Who's he talking about? Who's this talking about? It's talking about Jesus. It's talking about the Messiah. And we're going to spend the next 3 Wednesdays talking about the gift. And I'm thinking the Sunday before Christmas, we're going to spend some time talking about the gift. Or if I can swing it to 2 weeks, the 2 Christmas, we're going to spend talking about the gifts. And by the way, for those that are watching, we're having a Christmas morning service here at 9:30.
Have we decided it's 9:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just got, nobody ever said anything, so I just got to say. So here's the thing. This passage is talking about Jesus. And it says, hey, this person we're talking about here is nothing special in appearance. There's nothing about this gift. There's nothing about this gift that speaks to who he is and what he's about to do. In fact, there's nobody that don't even desire him. There's nothing about him that would take anybody and say, hey, look, that's the Messiah.
Yeah.
It's just a child.
Yeah.
But we know that Jesus is the gift to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. So all of us people, every time we want to condemn somebody, we better think about what Jesus came for.
Yeah.
He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe is condemned already, because he's not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. The gift.
Mm-hmm.
Romans, Paul writes, for when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. We were all ungodly at one time or the other. Did you know that?
Yeah.
For scarcely for a righteous man will one die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates his own agape love towards us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. He is the gift that we are going to celebrate this season. John 4:10. Jesus is at the well and he meets this woman and he answers her. If you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Jesus is the gift. He's the wrapping of even greater gifts, which we're going to be speaking on later. Israel was expecting a gift that was wrapped in this beautiful heavenly power that would bring Israel back to the world prominence. To take off the shackles of the Roman Empire and be free again as a country. God sent the gift of his Son in a way that no one would desire him. Nothing special. Yeah, there were many signs and wonders surrounding Jesus' birth. We know that. The appearances of angels to Joseph and to Mary and to Zechariah. How Elizabeth, his wife, who was well beyond childbearing age, gave birth to a child, the forerunner of Christ, the foreteller of Christ, John the Baptist. Angels speaking to the shepherds in the fields. A star in the night guiding the wise men to his home in Bethlehem some 2 years later. All kinds of signs and wonders. Much like what we have surrounding the celebration of this gift on Jesus' birthday that we call Christmas. There's a lot of celebration going on. There's a lot of busyness that happens. But there's a lot of stress and anxiety as well. And for us here today, in today's world, it seems that all of this is man-made and counterfeit to the signs and wonders surrounding the original Christmas morn. But it doesn't have to be. If we remember who the gift is really and what that gift brings to our lives. That it's not about the gifts that I can give or the gifts that you can receive as far as a worldly idea or thoughts and process, and there's nothing wrong with that. But where's the focus? This country, this world has lost the focus of the gift that was given to it to restore it back to what it was created to be. and we've counterfeited it.
Mhm.
We've made ourselves so busy. Christmas trees, Christmas lights. You're welcome, Cindy. Christmas pots, Christmas songs, Christmas celebration, office parties, right? Church parties, right? None of that is wrong.
Mm-mm.
Unless it takes
Not
the
the
place
focus.
of the real reason for the season. And by and large, it has. And it does.
Mhm.
And it's counterfeit. The happiness we get from that nowhere near comes close to the happiness we can receive from the gift.
Amen.
But the gift, all the gift, not something you and I would desire
Mhm.
when you first look at it. Nothing special. This gift is not wrapped in the world's finest cloths, the finest crib, in the finest house with the most holy and religious leaders.
Mhm.
No, this gift was wrapped in a plain old paper wrapping,
Mhm.
or if you prefer, a swaddling cloth,
Mhm.
in a dirty old manger, a food trough for animals,
Mhm.
in a stable, perhaps a cave that's used to house these animals, because there was no room in the inn. Now, this gift nobody really wanted or was really even looking for.
Mhm.
Why, when one looks at it from a religious perspective, the circumstances surrounding this gift would make this gift, Jesus, ineligible for the gift from Jehovah God.
Mhm.
And that's what we're going to spend the next couple of weeks talking about, that gift. And how God doesn't use what we think is the perfect.
Mhm.
He uses things that make us sit back on our haunches and go, well, wait a minute.
Mhm.
How can that be?
Mhm.
And it's all because of this one word, love.
Mhm.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. For God so loved, demonstrated his love towards us that while we were still sinners, enemies to God,
Mhm.
his Son Jesus, the gift, still died for us. We're going to take a look at this gift. But I want you to remember something, that in this gift, did you ever get a gift from somebody where you had a big box and you open it up and there was another box, and then you open it up and there was another box, and then you open it up and there was another box, and then you open it up and there might have been another box, and then inside that box there's a bunch of stuff inside of there. You had to dig through that to actually find the gift? This gift, the Messiah, the Anointed One, is the big box.
Mhm.
But you see, he's really, when you look at it, he's not the gift. He's the giver of the gift. He's the purchaser of the gift.
Mhm.
So we're going to look at that the next couple of weeks. And we're going to end, boy, you guys half hour? We're going to end with a couple songs. Just worship the gift.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen.
The gift. The gift. Does anybody need prayer at the end? Father, I just thank you. I give you praise, I give you glory, I give you honor. greatest gift the world has ever seen. And yet, because the package wasn't all pretty, so many have rejected it. Let us be, Father, the example and the results of the receiving and the accepting and the living in that gift, which will turn the hearts and the minds so many to the Father. But the realization that the only way they can get to the Father is through the Son, who is the way, the truth, the life. He is the gift. We give you thanks and praise, Lord. And everybody said,